Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Field Operations and Data Collection webinar. This is the third webinar in the National Government webinar series. My name is Noelle Loughran, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Esri, and I'll be your moderator today. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send you an email afterwards to point you towards the recording if you'd like to view it again or share it with your colleagues. There will be a question and answer at the end of this webinar. You can type in your questions to the question window and we'll address them at the appropriate time. There will also be polling questions to give you the opportunity to interactively respond to questions and see the collective results. Individual results will not be published, just the percentage response to each poll question. So now I'd like to introduce you to today's speakers. First, we have Linda Peters. She is a Global Business Development Manager here at Esri. Linda primarily works with national statistical offices across the globe, helping them understand how to apply geographic methods and spatial thinking to census and statistical activities. Linda is a member of the UN GGIM expert group on the integration of statistical and geospatial information, as well as big data and national reporting platforms, working groups, and most recently authored the book GIS in the 2020 Census. She has more than 25 years of industry experience, and she's been here at Esri for 16 years. We also have with us today Charmel Menzel, who is a solution engineer on the national government team, supporting primarily the civilian and sciences federal agencies. For field operations, Charmel spends time enabling citizen science projects. We also have with us Calvin Kwan. He is a solution engineer with Esri's nonprofit and global organization team, where he works with organizations like the World Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, and other international organizations. He also supports Esri's work with the humanitarian nonprofits like Catholic Relief Services and World Vision. He's been with Esri for 5 years. And now I would like to pass this over to Linda.
Thanks, Noelle. Helps to turn the microphone on. And thanks, everyone, for joining us here today. We've got a good session lined up for you. We're going to talk about field operations. And this is important because we all need to leverage location in the field to do tasks in a more intelligent manner. In today's webinar, we're going to cover why you should focus on field operations. We'll take a look at some case examples. Charmel and Calvin will give us a bit more of a deep dive and give us some demonstrations. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to location enable your field work. Of course, we're going to talk about field operations, but at the heart of this, it all starts with the ArcGIS platform. Many of you know already that ArcGIS is a comprehensive platform. It's open, it's services-based, it's distributed and extendable. And it supports not only large organizations or teams, but also individuals. And it provides us with that smarter way to perform field work. So why are we focusing on field operations? Managing field staff and operations can be a pretty daunting task. Not only do you have to manage workers in the field, coordinate schedules, keep track of equipment, and respond to unplanned events, you also need to maintain a level of service commitment, and to do that in compliance with health and safety regulations. And today, of course, that means COVID. We want to do these things to digitally enable our mobile workflows so that the field work can be done faster, more efficiently, and more accurately. Now, many organizations are moving away from traditional pen and paper approaches and embracing apps deployed to their smartphones. Maybe you've done that already. In the field, we need to be able to plan where we need to go, navigate to our assignment, understand our surroundings, and capture information. This is possible today due to many rapid changes we have seen, not only in smart devices, but connectivity improvements overall, and of course, GIS innovation. All of these enabling mobile GIS. Now, field operations means many different things depending upon your industry. You'll see a lot of different applications on screen here. Many agencies and industries rely on work completed in the field, whether that's inspections, assessments, survey data collection, disaster response, public safety, or in the service industry, such as utilities, the maintenance of meters, poles, pipes, and lines that bring all those essential services to our homes and businesses. And to manage this work in the field, we need to use location services. This provides us the context we need to geo-enable our information. That could be simply visualizing data on a map, perhaps geocoding a location, routing to the next stop, or even doing editing or measuring or markups in the field. All of this is possible with location services. And field operation apps enable our customers, you, to perform the common phases of field work better using location, with ArcGIS tying everything together. We can use the power of location to improve coordination and operational efficiency. We can reduce or even replace that reliance on paper and ensure that both field and office workers use the same authoritative data, thereby reducing errors, boosting productivity, and saving money. So here's some of the specific field operations apps that we see being applied that help you be more successful in applying location intelligence to the various phases of the field operations work. Tools like Collector or Survey 123 help us capture information in the field, or a tool like Workforce helping us plan our work, or dashboards. All of these are transforming our work in the field. Now, COVID-19 is demanding change everywhere, and change in the workplace and government agencies alike. In the field, this may mean minimizing interaction between drivers and customers, maybe leaving deliveries at loading docks or doorsteps. Perhaps it's using personal vehicles to enforce social distancing, or starting work from a home location rather than meeting at the office or garage at the start or the end of the day. And requesting employees check in each day to provide a status and health information, and encouraging workers to report any health or safety concerns. And of course, all of our work in the field also has to be considered offline. We know that managers need to be able to have their workers have continuity in the field. And so we give you the tools to easily create offline map areas where crews will be deployed. These map packages can be generated and shared either through online or enterprise backends. And the apps simply download these packages. Packages are automatically kept up to date for new workers, and they download only what's needed. So we're really transforming the offline experience as well. Now, I'd like to share a few examples here. We see many different types of apps in the field, from forestry, planning, city planning, water quality assessments, wildfire risk management, a lot of application in security, whether that's simply situational awareness or perhaps event tracking or event preparedness, as you see here for the World Series or Rose Parade. We're all looking forward to getting back to those events. And then in areas such as census and pre-enumeration planning, maybe we want to go out in the field and do some markups on the map, or during an actual census count using tools like Survey 123 to capture data. And we see examples in other areas as well. In park management, the example here from bike trails. Perhaps it's in public works, helping us plan and pick up dumpsters, or maybe snowplow guidance. In transportation, looking at road conditions and inspections, or even in agriculture. So let's take a deep dive on a couple of examples. The first coming to us from the EPA. The EPA has a mission to protect human health and the environment in the face of a natural disaster. And in emergencies such as Hurricane Irma, they needed to collect, track, analyze, and communicate the status of key response targets for the duration of the response. Of course, this is critical. And in order to meet the needs and facilitate that communication, they use tools such as Collector, Survey 123, and dashboards, allowing them to connect everyone and create a common operating picture and allowing real-time decisions. Another example coming to us from the National Park Service. citizen science project, which is really interesting, as we look at loons, the common loon. Citizens want to understand and contribute to how many loons are in the park, where are there disturbances, protecting loon nests, and helping to protect the chicks that they produce. So the challenge here is that you've got hundreds of volunteers in a park with little to no cell service, and the need for up-to-date and accurate information. They also needed to move from paper to digital, and they did so by using Survey 123, allowing them to increase accuracy, increase responsiveness, and protect our treasures. Another example from King County on weed control. This is a difficult challenge because it primarily affects riparian areas, the spaces between the land and the river or stream. And these are really hard to reach places that need simple tools. Again, this has been a primarily paper workflow. They wanted to move from paper to mobile digital, and they needed the devices, the applications to be GPS aware. In this example, they decided to use QuickCapture to streamline the data collection, eliminate that manual entry, and also thereby reducing the post-processing and the handling of the data that was needed. A couple more examples. American Red Cross has been using tools in the field for some time and using Survey 123 to streamline their field data collection with smart forms, boosting, again, their productivity and reducing the amount of errors in the field. Or the example from Kingston Utilities in Canada, streamlining their gas meter inspections. They're serving over 15,000 customers, and they're using Workforce to optimize those assignments and make sure their customers get the service they need on time. And a great example here from the Philippine Statistical Authority, enabling their census operation. And they've used tools throughout their processes, starting with pre-enumeration, using tools such as Collector to go out in the field and capture new points, edit boundary information. And then during the actual survey, using Survey 123 for data collection and dashboards to provide that real-time information and transparency to field managers and executives. So we see many common workflows and tools being used in new ways, but we want to take a deeper dive. But first, Noelle, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you, Linda. So we are going to do our first polling question. So in a moment, all of you will see a question pop up on your screen. So we are interested in knowing what mobile GIS tools you currently, or what you are currently using mobile GIS for. So you can select any one of those options on the screen, and we'll give all of you a few moments to respond. All right, thank you for sharing that information with us. Now I will go ahead and let you see what everyone has voted for. So it looks like it's primarily field data collection. So that's pretty cool to hear from all of you. So we will now continue on with the presentation, and I believe we will be passing this over to Charmel.
That would be great. So let's go ahead and share my screen. Well, thanks for participating in the poll, and thanks for Linda for that good overview and start for ArcGIS field operations and all the apps that are available. I can't but help wonder if you are new to ArcGIS and especially the field operations applications, that it may be a bit overwhelming to know where to start. And there's a lot of capabilities. I have a lot of icons and names on the screen. And the key to getting started is to realize that each of these apps were created for a specific task. You may have a project where you need assistance navigating offline to a job site, or you might want to crowdsource collect data through utilizing Survey 123. Each app on this list is powerful in of itself. But the benefit of utilizing ArcGIS platform is that not only can you select the app you need to solve a specific problem, these apps can be paired to meet the objectives of a focused workflow. For instance, if I am collecting data in the field on the left-hand side using Survey 123 or QuickCapture, I can visualize immediately the data in ArcGIS dashboard. You can launch Collector from inside the Workforce mobile application. It's very important to integrate with third-party applications. Maybe you need an application where you need to navigate through your custom app. I have to say that we keep building and pairing these apps, and this is to help you accomplish your workflow. So let us know if you have any additional needs. I just saw a recent blog on the Esri community, GeoNet. Hopefully you participate there, and this blog described how you can launch QuickCapture from a Survey 123 field application. Well, these three applications are meant for data capture, and I'm talking about ArcGIS QuickCapture, Survey 123 for ArcGIS, and Collector for ArcGIS. Now, field data captured from any of these apps is immediately available for your system of record. The idea is to perform data collection, send it back to the office from anywhere, supporting informed decision making. What's common is that all three of these apps work offline, and they include support for external high accuracy GNSS receivers. And each application can be activated with a QR code reader. But why would we have three? Well, there's differences between the three and different needs. So let's just talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to start with Collector for ArcGIS, as that is the Esri's premier data collection app. Collector is map-centric, meaning that the field workers use web maps on their mobile device to capture and to edit data. Currently on the screen, I have a video that's capturing multiple features at one time. If I accidentally selected one and I didn't need to update that, I can deselect that. And what's new is that each of these features can be updated. So in this case, it's damage assessment, and I want to update that all of these buildings were damaged at the same level, and in this case, it's minor damage, and at which date I collected this information. That's all to help optimize your field data collection. Now, Collector is the only Esri mobile app that supports editing attachments in your GIS features and supports deleting existing data. As far as Survey 123 for ArcGIS, it's form-centric. It's all about the questions. It's powerful in the fact that you can create a form to collect data utilizing the native app or using your web browser. I have to say that I work with many different national government agencies, and they are embedding into ArcGIS Online web applications such as ArcGIS Hub and ArcGIS dashboards these survey forms we created with Survey 123. It's a great addition to your operations. Now, this form is based on an open standard XLS form, if you've heard of that. If you haven't, it's a standard created to help simply author forms in Excel. Our latest application for field data collection is ArcGIS QuickCapture, and we say this is the app for rapid data collection. It's designed specifically for that workflow where you are moving. You may be in a vehicle moving, conducting aerial surveys, out walking in a park, as we're going to show. And the idea is having a simple data collection with a big button. You press that and you've finished collecting your data. Now, since ArcGIS QuickCapture is new, I want to tell you some of the versions it's available for ArcGIS Enterprise, and that's exactly what Calvin and I are focusing on today. So ArcGIS Enterprise at 10.7.1 or newer supports QuickCapture. There is a way to work with it in 10.6 as long as you can federate your servers. What's great about ArcGIS Enterprise 10.8 is that a local copy of the designer to design this QuickCapture project is included in the installation. Implementations of ArcGIS QuickCapture include window shield damage assessment, road debris monitoring or reporting, And if you are in a agricultural field, moving on your tractor, you want to report observations of pest and disease in the field. All of that while you're moving in the field is feasible with QuickCapture. And as QuickCapture is fairly new, we decided to select QuickCapture as one of the data collection apps we're going to show. In this example, I'm going to utilize ArcGIS Enterprise 10.8, utilize QuickCapture, and show the results in the ArcGIS dashboard. We're working in a park, and in this example is a visitor to the park who's going to capture things that the park management may need to know. I mean, parks and forests are very large, and you might not know that a sign is damaged or the path needs work. So it's great to have that input from the public who visit the parks and want to keep them nice and friendly and open and safe for everyone. Now I've just added my screen mirroring and with my applications. Since we're in ArcGIS Enterprise, I don't know about you, but I have a hard time typing in that URL without making a mistake. And luckily now you can utilize that QR code reader. You can put that on the SharePoint site. You can email the link to anybody, text the link, and they can easily get started in the field. As I'm sitting in my home office, I had to simulate going out into the field. So I'm on the track in a park, and I'm going to start collecting data. What's nice about QuickCapture is that I just press a trail condition. It's excellent right now, and I could just continue collecting that information as I'm moving around the park. If the trail condition moves and it's not so good anymore, I can say it's poor at this one point. I just select that. Other things that are very important, as Linda mentioned, in this environment of COVID, we used to have reports on restroom conditions good or not so good, but now we have added hand sanitizer out because people are very concerned and want to keep their hands clean. We want to know if any of our restrooms have that. So that's a very high priority for us. And as far as trash reporting, we can simply say, I want to take a picture of paper. In this case, it was a cardboard, and that's all you have to do. The data is collected and it has been captured into our system, our ArcGIS Enterprise, and it is available in our dashboard. So let me go ahead to the dashboard. And this is the operations dashboard, ArcGIS dashboard, I should say, that shows all of the data that's been collected and the types of reports that we're receiving. Of course, restrooms, hand sanitizer out and dirty is very important. Now, I collected data up at the top here just now, and it's been updated. This is the path I was simulating, walking around and collecting reports. I collected this box trash in the area, and it shows the pictures, information. We were out in the field, actually saw some trash in the field. And then I can interact if I want to just see where the paper has been collected. I can narrow this down, see if there's trends, and analyze this information. It's quite useful to have that information as part of the ArcGIS platform. Very easy to get started with that. Well, now that I have that data, what am I going to do? Well, I want to actually assign staff. So I'm changing my hat from being the public to actually working in the operations. And I want to send my staff out to the field, the staff that's closest by, and to fix situations, observe, and confirm any reports that we have received. And to do that, I'm going to utilize Workforce for ArcGIS. Again, it's a very great tool, especially in this time where we don't want to actually maybe get so close to each other, so I can make assignments to my field and they don't have to come into the office, to my field workers. So as a project administrator or dispatcher, I work with a web application to make those assignments. And as a mobile worker, I utilize my iPhone, iPad. I am utilizing utilizing Android devices to make these work assignments and provide my work status. Again, for ArcGIS Enterprise 10.8, Workforce is installed by default. And Workforce does work with ArcGIS Enterprise 10.5.1 and to the most current on your Windows or Linux machines. So let's go ahead and expand. As I mentioned, I have this information I want from the field, from the public in this case, and I want to make assignments. Let's go back to my mobile device, and I'm turning on the Workforce Dispatcher view. First, let's look at the Dispatcher view on the left-hand side of the screen in my web browser. I have assignments. I can look at the assignments that have been completed, the assignments that are due within a week. I can do many different types of queries on my data. I can look at the workers and see who's working or not. Calvin is working, Charmel's on a break, and I can make new assignments. Over on the right-hand side is my mobile device. I'm going to activate my Workforce app, and I see that I already have one assignment. And I have a little gold box, that circle, that indicates that I was on break. So I'm now going to let my management know that I'm working. It's going to update on the dashboard as a green circle around me and as a worker who is now working. So you have that information, and the employee in the field gets to indicate that. On this map, this dispatcher map, you may notice that I have included the data collected from the QuickCapture. That's what's great. We can combine this information together. And as I've concluded this information, remember, restrooms is quite important. I see that there's a restroom report. But wait a minute, you're thinking, who's going to be looking at this dashboard 24/7 and knowing that there's a report? Probably no one. And that's why you can link QuickCapture and many of the other field applications together with webhooks. So we have established a webhook to notify facility management's field operations staff that a new restroom condition was submitted by a visitor, that the sanitizer's out. It's important at this day and age for me to get onto that right away. I open up my dispatcher view. I've seen where that report's made, and I go ahead and make that assignment. The assignments made is restrooms. I have all of my other different types of assignments that I typically occur in my park for my deferred maintenance. I'm assigning it to Charmel since she is the closest one working near that restroom, and I've given all of my field staff hand sanitizers so they can quickly get there, whoever's the closest. It's due today, and it's due today in an hour if I think she can get there in time. I'm going to go ahead and create the assignment, and on the mobile device, you'll see the assignment will appear, and on the dispatcher view, it also appears as it's been assigned, but nobody has started working on that assignment. So let's go to the mobile device, and I can look at my marine maintenance task, see where it is, and I can see that there's attachments to ensure that I'm working on in the field at the right location. But that's not my high priority. The restrooms is my high priority. So let me look at the restrooms task. I see that I'm very close to that. So I am going to go ahead and let management know that I am starting to work on this. It will change to a green circle that's in progress as it has done on the dispatcher view. And to get to there, I can either navigate using the ArcGIS Navigator, and as soon as I get to the assignment, I need to let people know what I've done here at the restroom. What have you cleaned or filled the hand sanitizer? So the restroom maintenance form, and this is just a general tracking form that we have all the time, but because of COVID, we're definitely putting it at a higher priority to get to these locations and indicate what has been cleaned. We may be doing that on a more regular basis, especially when there's a report coming in. So I've filled the hand sanitizer. I have cleaned different areas. I've sanitized the countertops and refilled the hand sanitizer. So I submit that report. Right now, since I'm connected, it does work disconnected if need to be. Since I've completed my assignment, I move back to Workforce, indicate to management that I have finished. The assignment is going to be updated in the dispatcher view. It moves off of my mobile device, so it's no longer there. It's completed in the management view, and then they can see and look at any of the other assignments that do need to be completed today and keep track of that workflow and the operations. Now I want to move it over to Calvin and let Calvin continue our field operations. So let me go ahead and change Calvin to the panelist. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Charmel. So Charmel just introduced us to Esri's field data collection tools like QuickCapture and Survey123 and how they work together. And now I want to focus our attention on apps designed to facilitate coordination and monitoring of field work. So the first app I want to talk about is Navigator for ArcGIS. And Navigator for ArcGIS is, as the name suggests, a navigator app. But what sets Navigator apart from consumer-level navigation services from Google or Apple is that you can leverage your enterprise data like asset location or custom roads. It could also work in an offline environment, and you could also set pre-planned routes to maximize efficiency. So to take an example from Charmel's demo, we could load custom trails data inside the park to allow staff to use Navigator to get directions within the park, which is a data that's not available typically in a consumer level service. The second app I want to talk about is Explorer for ArcGIS. And this is an app that allows you to take your web maps to the field and create and share annotations. So for work that requires referencing paper maps on the field, which often becomes out of date very quickly, Explorer enables the user to access the most up-to-date information where they may be. Finally, Tracker for ArcGIS lets you record and share your location within your organization so that everyone knows where you are and where you have been. And all of this is stored as spatial data, so you can apply analysis against it to detect patterns. This capability is available starting from ArcGIS Enterprise 10.7, as well as in ArcGIS Online. So one of the few key ways Tracker for ArcGIS is supporting our users is to improve situational awareness during events. Tracker keeps information on the last known location of the user, which is extremely useful when medical or security personnel must be dispatched based on their proximity of an incident. Another use case is validating a level of service from your contractors. For example, you may pay your contractors based on the miles driven, but you may not have access to this data or rely on the contractor to provide this information. So by having Tracker on the contractor's phones, the contractor can turn on this capability when they're working and turn it off when they're not. And you get to keep this data in your infrastructure for analysis later. But today, we're also going to share a new and innovative use case for Tracker that is emerging from this COVID-19 pandemic. And this use case is called proximity analysis, and it enables your organization to identify possible proximity events between individuals while on the job. This capability will be crucial and critical as organizations start to reopen their operations. So these are a few use cases, and hopefully if you're not using Tracker today, this gives you a sense of how it could be used in your organization. So with that, let's jump right into our demo. I'll first share the features and functions of the mobile and the web application. And afterwards, I'll use the mobile tracks to perform proximity analysis using Pro. So let me bring up my screen share, just a moment, please. All right, so let's look at the mobile application first. So it's super simple to get started. So once you sign in, all you have to do is turn on to start tracking your location right here. And it's going to take me to my location. And I want to just highlight that the user is in full control of sharing their tracks. The app will never run in the background without the user permission. So user has access to their track from today, yesterday, and within the last 72 hours. You can also click on the track to get basic information. And you notice that when I click on the tracker also captures information about the user speed. It's 0 miles per hour here because I'm sitting on my desk doing a webinar. And this is important because tracker dynamically adjusts the granularity of data collection and upload based on one speed. So if you're walking, for example, the data is captured every 5 meters. Whereas if you're driving, the data is captured every 30 meters. And when you're not moving, it's not capturing data at all. So this ensures that we capture data at a similar granularity and optimize battery life. The setting is also very simple to use. In Android, you have the option to set schedule to automatically turn on or off the tracker based on your working hours. There's also option to set the interval rate at which you upload your last known location. And of course, Tracker for ArcGIS supports offline and disconnected environments. So the data you capture will be stored locally in the device and gets uploaded when the connectivity is reestablished. So this was the Tracker mobile app, which the field worker will use to capture data. Let's move on to the track viewer, which your supervisor or the people in your organization might use to understand where people have been. So the track viewer is a way to visualize and explore the tracks. And in this track viewer, we have 4 users corresponding to the users that Charmel showed. And we could click on each user to highlight their individual tracks, as you can see here. You can also filter the tracks based on the time or the date, based on accuracy, speed, as well as the mode of travel, which is based on the speed that we capture from the tracks. And like the mobile application, we could zoom in and click on the track to get additional information. But you could also click on next to previous to actually see the sequence of the direction, the movement for that individual. And finally, you have an option and access to all the base maps that are registered with the organization. And you could change it to something like imagery to get additional context and understanding of where the movement happened. So let's switch our view and talk about proximity analysis. So the question here is, what else can we do with this track data other than visualization? And by combining the tracks from Tracker for ArcGIS and using a proximity tracing tool in ArcGIS Pro, we can identify users who have coming close proximity to each other based on specific criteria like distance and time. And before I show you how the tool works, I want to start with a simple exercise or a little game. This will require your attention, so bear with me here. And in the next slide, there will be a short animation, quite a fast animation of individuals who are on the move. And in that scenario, person 3 have been confirmed with COVID-19. And the question I want to ask you is, could you identify other individuals who have come in proximity with this person 3? Here's the animation. We have user 2 and 1, and now there's user 3, as well as 4. And try to identify where user 3 have come in contact with other users. Okay, the animation is wrapping up, so please make up your mind, and let's look at the answers here. So you probably saw that person 4 came close to person 3 near the lake. But what was probably less obvious are the secondary and tertiary proximity events with person 3. So in this animation, we could also see that person 1, as well as person 5, came in contact with person 4, who came in contact with person 3. So that's a mouthful, but let's see how that looks in the tool itself. And I think that will make it a lot clearer on how this tool works. So let's go to ArcGIS Pro here. So again, proximity analysis searches for proximity events between individuals in space and time. And here is the track from our scenario. We have 4 tracks, user 1 through 4. And in this scenario, track user 2, the user in red, is suspected to have COVID-19. So let's find out who this user came in contact with by running proximity analysis. So rather than just show you the results of the analysis, I want to actually bring up the tool and talk about some important parameters that we need to provide. And the real important parameter is basically the three in the center here. Basic entity of interest. This is the entity in which we want to understand the proximity events, who it happened from. So we're assigning tracker user 2, which corresponds with the red user here. But you could assign multiple entities of interest. And we could also define spatial search distance and temporal search distance. So spatial search distance I've defined as 6 feet and temporal as 30 seconds. And this is basically saying find all proximity events where people have come in contact within 6 feet and for at least 30 seconds, more than 30 seconds. And we could run the tool here. But the tool takes a few minutes to run, so I want to just highlight the results. Let me open up the attribute table here, make this a little bigger so that you see. And what this is showing us is that we have user 2 who's suspected of COVID-19. And the first contact event, proximity event, happened between user 2 and user 3 at this location. The next event occurred between user 3, who previously contacted user 2 with user 1. And then the final event happened when user 1 came in contact with user 4 in this location. So by leveraging tracks from Tracker for ArcGIS, an organization can begin to resume normal operations in the field with the tools to keep their employees safe and prevent spread of the virus. So I would like to conclude my part with a few ideas to take your field workflows to the next level. The first tip is about automating your workflows with webhooks. And field work typically exists as part of a larger workflow that's dependent on other business systems. And you can use webhooks to integrate your workflows with other apps and services instantly without the need to code. And we already saw a simple demonstration today where QuickCapture submission resulted in an email notification to Charmel. That workflow was made possible by the use of a webhook. And webhook can be used for notification, data transfer, and even data enrichment. And so let's look at a few examples using a tool called Integromat, but you can also use tools like Microsoft Power Automate, Zapier, and others. So in this workflow, we're using a tool called Integromat to create a workflow using webhook. And in this workflow, a Survey 123 submission prompts an email notification via Gmail and also copies the record to an external system like Google Sheets. And in this example, let's say you have a survey for an international audience where users can submit in multiple languages. And in this example, the survey results are translated using Google Translate, and that translated result is fed back into the feature layer so that the survey feature layer contains that translated text. Here's an example of using Survey 123 submission to automatically add a workforce assignment. The workflow also adds an assignment to the Google Calendar. And finally, the workflows can become as advanced as you want. In this example, we're downloading a photo attachment from Survey 123 using Google Cloud Vision to classify the image, and then using the string feature, string attribute that comes out of Google Cloud Vision and adding it back to the feature service. The photo is also saved to the Google Drive. And the result of the analysis is sent to Gmail for notification. And speaking of workflow automation, let's talk about automating workflow or automated workforce for ArcGIS. And today we saw how workforce can be used to coordinate and manage tasks. But what if you have hundreds of field workers and thousands of assignments? And what if the information about these workers and assignments must come from another business system? Well, you can integrate and automate importing of users, creating assignments, and assigning users to assignments, and much more by using ArcGIS API for Python. Now, I won't go into details here, but there are sample scripts in the Workforce GitHub repository. So if this is a workflow that you need to focus on, please check these out. And for many organizations, branding is really important. And this tip is about white labeling your apps, specifically for QuickCapture and Survey123. And to talk about white labeling Esri field apps, we have to talk about another tool in Esri's platform called App Studio for ArcGIS. And App Studio for ArcGIS is a native app builder, and Survey123 and QuickCapture are built using this tool. So while you can use App Studio to create your own custom mobile applications, you can also download the source code for Survey123 and QuickCapture mobile app using App Studio and customize it however you like. You can build your own version of the mobile app, change the look and feel by adding your organization's logo or color, branding, and even extend the functionality with custom capabilities and upload the app to your internal store. And finally, the last tip is about mobile-based security. And there are a few components to this. And the first is the capability to highlight is that Esri's app can be deployed and managed through popular MDM solutions like VMware's AirWatch or Microsoft Intune. Second, we also have the ability to set feature views, which are very similar to database views, which allows you to selectively expose attributes and capabilities from the host feature service. This is handy because it allows you to remove sensitive information from the underlying feature without having to create a copy of that data. And of course, all of our apps are authenticated with the identity, which allows you to monitor and track the submission, edit, and use of this data. So as you can see, there's a lot that you could do in the world of Esri field apps. Our demo was a high-level overview, and if you would like to learn more about each of these apps, don't forget to check our resource document, which we'll share after this webinar, and ask us questions at the end of the webinar as well. And thank you for being with us, and now I'll turn it over to Noel.
Thanks, Calvin. So we are going to do our second polling question. So as you can see, we have the question up. Please select the answer that makes the most sense for your organization, and we will give you a few moments to respond. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that information with us. I will now post those results, and it looks like approximately you have less than, or you're planning to have less than 25% of your staff using mobile apps this year. That is good information to share. Thank you. And I will actually be passing this back over to Linda Peters so she can help wrap all this up for us.
Great, thanks so much, Noel. So we saw a lot today, and as you can see, Esri has many different apps, and we allow you to choose the right app for your job and to use the device that you choose to, whether that's an Android, an iOS, or even a Windows device. And all of these are configurable out of the box. And as Charmel talked about, these apps work well together. We really see some common patterns starting to emerge. Using a data collection tool such as Collector or Survey123, for example, with a monitoring app like Dashboard, or as Calvin showed, using a tracker app with a dashboard as well. And we also know that not everyone wants to use an out of the box. Some of you want to build your own tools, and there are app builders for that. So if you want to build your own, there are a series of tools out there. I encourage you to go out and take a look at those. But with that, I think we're going to throw it open for questions. So Noel, do you want to kick us off with the first question?
I would love to. So our first question, and actually I need to adjust my screen a little so I can read it. So first question, actually Charmel, maybe you want to help us out with it. In the case of data collection using Collector, Survey123, ArcGIS, QuickCapture, is it necessary to expose ArcGIS Enterprise to the public, or shall we use these apps using collaboration between AGOL or ArcGIS Online and Enterprise?
Oh, great. Thanks for the question. That is a great question. And there is not just one answer. Because of the capabilities, you would need to select the best workflow that fits your organization and the needs. So it is not necessary to utilize ArcGIS Online with these applications. All of the demonstrations that Calvin and I showed, we were not using ArcGIS Online to share the applications. Many times organizations have it where their staff are utilizing the applications that we showed today. If you're tracking staff, you don't need to make that to public. If you're using Survey 123 for your staff, that can all be within ArcGIS Enterprise. Now, if you're utilizing ArcGIS Enterprise for an application, a public application such as when I showed the QuickCapture or any other crowdsourcing that you may do with Survey 123, then you would need to make sure that that can be made public. And how you choose it depends upon the security of your organizations and your IT infrastructure. There are many organizations that utilize that connection between ArcGIS Enterprise and make the public survey or form available through ArcGIS Online. That is definitely doable, and then the data can be shared in ArcGIS Enterprise. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, Charmel. We have one more question. I think I'm going to pass this over to Linda. The question is, we have a need to use Survey 123 with an external device through Bluetooth or USB, such as an RFID reader to scan in a tag ID 16-digit alphanumeric code for the fish and store it in a field survey. Will Esri be adding the capability to communicate with other devices beyond GPS or rangefinders? If a device communication API was available, end users could customize the Survey 123 app to use the data from an external device. So Linda, do you want to handle that one?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And while RFID is not implemented in Survey 123 yet, the first thing you could look at if you need it immediately is perhaps extending Survey 123. It is, of course, extensible, and you could do that using App Studio. I will also say that I'm working with another customer who has a different hardware device that's used actually for fingerprint and retinal scan, and we've had no challenges there. It works very smoothly. So, certainly happy to connect you to the right people to have a conversation if you need further information on how to do that.
And I would like to add that if you have any requests like this for extending, if you're utilizing, sounds like you probably are utilizing the technology already now, there's a couple of ways to let the product team know through your account manager by entering an Esri support ticket, and through the community, the GeoNet community, there's a section called ArcGIS Ideas, and that's a way of anyone entering an idea and then everyone else voting on it. And our product team looks at that weekly, and many of the enhancements are based on ArcGIS Ideas. So there might already be an idea. I didn't have a chance to quickly query that, but there might be an idea there that you can vote up, and that would be wonderful to do.
Thanks, Charmel and Linda. We have a few minutes left, so we'll try to get to a couple of other questions. So someone asked for the link to GitHub. We will, Calvin, I believe you have that, so maybe we can post that in the chat so everyone has access to it. And then also we have another question. What is the reliable accuracy of the data collected by using this app?
Oh, yes, I can address that. Calvin can add in. The reliability depends upon your device. Android is different than your iPhone, and the version of Android is different than the previous version of Android if you're utilizing just the GPS that's in your phone. But what's nice about the applications that, let's just say I'm using the phone and I'm not adding a GNSS receiver for a high accuracy, because that's another great way of ensuring the accuracy. But in the applications, you can add into the application the capability to say, I want a specific level of accuracy. So each application allows that. So it wouldn't capture the point data unless it was to your level of accuracy. So each one is different, and be happy to talk to you more about that. Calvin, do you have anything to add? And I forgot we were supposed to put our cameras on again. Oops.
Oh, that was good. Thank you, Sharmil.
Okay, yeah, so our emails, should we put our email in the chat?
Yeah, that would be great. We can also maybe even send that information out through email because, again, we did record this webinar. We will be sending a link to everyone once the recording is ready to be shared. We do need to host it online first. So, but with that, we're going to actually wrap up. If there's any questions we didn't get to, we will reply by email. So thank you for your questions. Thank you for being so engaged. We hope that you found the information we shared today really helpful. Just in case you didn't already know, there is a handout that you can download through GoToWebinar, and it has a number of resources on it. So you can feel free to download that, and you can utilize those resources to help get experience with some of the things that we've shown today. We also don't want you to forget that we have a whole series of webinars for you. Our next one is going to be a deep dive on Collector for ArcGIS. So we have the web link down there. You can go to Esri.com, go to our industry pages, and in our government section, we have webinars listed, and you can register for our Collector for ArcGIS webinar. We will also be promoting that in the follow-up email that will have the link to the recording. So if you want to register for that or any others, we encourage you to do so. And with that, we thank you for sharing an hour of your time with us today. Thank you to all of our speakers, and we hope to see you again soon.